What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going over my ultimate noobs guide for rune dragons. If you are new to rune dragons or want to learn how to do them more efficiently, then this is the guide for you. Before we get into the requirements and the rest of the guide, I do have a welfare versus wealth episode on rune dragons where we tested different tiered setups. If you're interested in that, check it out. It is in the description. Also, if you're wanting to make a rune dragon alt for money, check out my rune dragon alt series in the description as well. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this video and want to see more of my content, and also leave a comment with the next ultimate noobs guide you want to see. Now let's get into the rune dragon guide, starting with the requirements. Rune dragons have some pretty high requirements that will take a while to achieve if you are starting on a lower level account. In order to be able to do the rune dragons, you must complete the Dragon Slayer 2 quest, which is a master quest and requires 200 quest points and some pretty high level skills to complete. If you have not done this quest yet, definitely start working towards completing it because you will unlock rune dragons as well as other moneymakers like Vorkath. Once you have unlocked rune dragons, I would recommend that you have 90 plus base melee stats to do rune dragons efficiently, but you could do rune dragons with 80 plus melee stats. Your kills will just be slower and you will have to pay attention even more. I also recommend 70 prayer and the ability to use piety. Piety will speed your kills up tremendously, so definitely unlock that next if you already completed Dragon Slayer 2. Also, another thing you can do is get 94 magic and use vengeance to speed up your kills. I personally don't use it because it takes up another inventory space, but it is definitely something you can do if you want. I would also recommend completing the Monkey Madness 2 quest, which is another master quest with some decently hard requirements, but I would recommend doing it because you will then unlock javelin head drops from dragons, and the rune dragons drop both the dragon javelin heads and rune javelin heads, and these will make you more money per hour if you unlock them. The main reason people do rune dragons is for the great consistent drops it has. Rune dragons always drop a runite bar and dragon bones after they die, but they also drop many other items. They drop dragon armor, rune armor and weapons, runes, and much more. The bigger drops they have are the dragon limbs worth 2.9 mil with a 1 in 800 chance of a drop. They also drop the dragon metal lump worth 1.3 mil with a 1 in 5,000 drop rate. And they can also drop the draconic visage, which is worth 5 mil with a 1 in 8,000 chance of a drop. I personally have gotten 2 dragon limb drops as well as a draconic visage drop, all of which were well below the drop rate, so it is likely you will get one of these bigger drops if you are doing rune dragons long enough. Even without these drops, rune dragons make a consistent 1 mil plus GP per hour. Later on, I will get into the exact money per hour depending on your setups, but this is the main reason people do rune dragons. In order to understand how to do the rune dragons, you have to understand their attacks and what to pray when meleeing them. The only prayer you need to worry about when using melee against the rune dragons is protect from magic and piety. Rune dragons have multiple attacks. For the most part, you can ignore them, but there are some that you can avoid and take less damage if you're paying attention. Like the mithril and adamant dragons, rune dragons have dragon fire attacks, standard melee, range, and magic attacks. They also have, however, 2 special attacks. One is electric bolts, which you can see as they are launched around your player. The bolts can deal 4 to 7 damage per tick for a few seconds, but you can avoid this attack entirely by running 4 to 5 squares away from your original position where it hit you. This will help you keep your health higher during trips and in turn make longer trips. You could just ignore this attack, but it is helpful to know about it. The second special attack is a ranged attack that can hit through protect from missiles and uses a life leech effect where the dragon heals itself for the amount of damage done to you. This attack is unavoidable and it'll heal the rune dragon, but with 90 plus melee stats, it is never an issue. In a second, we will go over what weapons you should use at the rune dragons, but you should know that there are only a few spec weapons that are worth bringing. I personally don't use spec weapons at rune dragons, but they definitely do help if you can afford them. The best spec weapon is the dragon claws because they deal a lot of damage, but you can also use the dragon warhammer or BANDOS godsword to drain the rune dragon's defense. All 3 of these spec weapons are viable, but I wouldn't stress too much about bringing them if you don't have enough money. However, you should definitely bring the dragon claws each time to get quicker kills if you can afford it. Now for meleeing the rune dragons, there are only 2 weapons I would recommend using. Keep in mind, you could technically range the rune dragons in theory, but don't do it. It is definitely not worth it, and you will do much better with melee. The 2 weapons that you should use at rune dragons are the Dragon Hunter Lance or the Zamorakian Hasta. If you cannot afford either, I would probably not recommend doing rune dragons because you are not ready yet. The best weapon by far is the Dragon Hunter Lance, as it increases both accuracy and damage by 20% when fighting dragons, and it completely shreds rune dragons. If you can't afford that, you could use the Zamorakian Hasta, which is a solid weapon for a fair price, but it is a considerable downgrade from the Dragon Hunter Lance. Because the rune dragons use dragon fire, you have to use anti-fire potions when killing the rune dragons, otherwise you take way more damage. You should use the super extended anti-fire potion, which does cost quite a bit if you are not using a dragon fire shield. If you are using a dragon fire shield, which I recommend, then you should use the regular extended anti-fire potions, which are actually really cheap and last longer. Before I get into the best setups to use at rune dragons, in my welfare vs wealth video at the rune dragons, I tested different setups that are all viable and will make good money. If you're interested in that video and want to see each setup used in depth, check that video out. It is in the description. The entry entry-level, low-tier setup that is the most affordable that I recommend is this. The gear is the Helm of Nadasnot, a Fire Cape, an Amulet of Glory, an Honorable Blessing, a Zamorakian Hasta, Torag Plate Body and Legs, the Dragon Defender, Barrows Gloves, Warrior Ring, and the Insulated Boots. Keep in mind, in every setup there will be insulated boots, which require 37 Slayer to wear, and that is because they reduce damage from the electric special attack of the Rune Dragons. In the inventory, we have a 1-dose Super Combat Potion, which can be replaced with the Divine Super Combat Potion, a Super Extended Anti-Fire Potion because the Dragonfire Shield is not being used, 3 Prayer Potions, a DIGSITE Pendant to teleport to the Rune Dragons, a Rune Pouch with Teleport to House Runes to restore stats and to bank. You could replace that with the Dueling Ring to teleport to Clan Wars if you do not have a pool in your house, and the rest of the inventory is Monkfish. This setup costs 16.3 mil GP and makes an average of 1 million GP with base 90 melee stats. The next setup, the medium tier setup, has some pretty big upgrades. The gear upgrades include the Amulet of Fury, the Dragon Hunter Lance, the Dragonfire Shield, and the Berserker Ring imbued. The inventory upgrades are the regular extended anti-fire potion, which is cheaper and lasts longer, the Dragon Warhammer, which could be replaced with Dragon Claws or the BGS, an additional prayer potion to account for longer trips, and instead of monkfish, there are now sharks. This setup costs 108 mil without the Dragon Warhammer and costs 167 mil with it. With this setup, you'll make an average of 1.5 mil. The final setup, the high tier, is the one I highly recommend to use and is by far the best setup to AFK at Rune Dragons. The gear upgrades are pretty major for this one. It includes full Justiciar, which reduces the dragon's damage, the Amulet of Torture to make kills faster, but some people do prefer to use the Amulet of Fury for more defensive bonuses. We also upgraded the Barrows Gloves to the Hydra Gloves, which increases attack bonuses but has less defensive bonuses, and in the inventory we now have Dragon Claws for the special attack. This gear setup costs 200 mil without the Dragon Claws and costs 259 mil with them. You can expect to make 1.6 mil GP on average with this setup, and also your trips will last much longer. If you do find yourself dropping food to make room for items during your trips, you could bring Alky Runes to free up some space, or you could bring less food each trip. You could wear full bandos and an Avertic Defender at Rune Dragons, but Justiciar will still be better because your trips will last longer and you can AFK more. I would only use max strength gear if you are on Slayer task and use the Slayer Helm. I also created a gear progression table for Rune Dragons, and it is this. The first item you want to upgrade if you can afford it is the Dragon Hunter Lance. This weapon will speed up your kills tremendously and should be your first big purchase to make more money at the Rune Dragons. After you have the Lance, you should buy the Dragonfire Shield to add some defensive bonuses and also to switch from the super anti-fire potions to regular extended anti-fire potions. Keep in mind, if you can already afford the Dragonfire Shield but cannot afford the Dragon Hunter Lance, then you should definitely buy the Dragonfire Shield and save up for the Lance. I put the Lance first because it improves kills the most and is the most important upgrade and item to use at the Rune Dragons. After the Dragonfire Shield, you can upgrade to Justiciar Armor to add more defensive bonuses and make it possible to AFK more. After that, you could add a SPEC weapon, and I recommend the Dragon Claws because they make kills much faster. After you have all of those items, you should consider upgrading your house to have an ornate pool inside of it so you can teleport there and restore your stats. This will help you bank much faster as you don't have to worry about dueling rings. I did not put the Hydra Gloves, the Amulet of Fury, or the Amulet of Torture because there is a lot of debate as to which is the best. If you prefer faster kills, I would suggest using the Torture and Hydra Gloves, but if you want to AFK more, I would suggest Barrow Gloves and a Fury. I've used both combinations and found very little evidence to one making more money over time. Once you have your gear and are ready to go, you will use the DIGSITE Pendant to teleport to LITHKREN and then run to the Rune Dragons. If you have not already unlocked this teleport, then you need to first unlock the Fossil Island teleport and then unlock the LITHKREN teleport. I will now show you how to unlock them both. The first thing you want to do is get out your DIGSITE Pendant, teleport to the DIGSITE, go ahead and quick travel to Fossil Island, and then you will be here. Then you're going to want to run north up this mountain, head a little bit east, and then head up the ladder on the tree. Then you're going to cross the bridge, climb down on the other side, and then you're going to run northeast and cross another bridge. When you cross the bridge, go ahead and run to the west and climb up the stairs, and then you will be at a strange machine that you can use the DIGSITE Pendant on to unlock the Fossil Island teleport. Once you teleport to Fossil Island, go ahead and use the tree system and teleport to the meadows, and then run southwest to the boat. If you do not have the tree teleports unlocked, just teleport to the DIGSITE and then run northwest to the boat. Then once you're off the rowboat, run a little bit northwest, run up the stairs, then go ahead and climb down the trap door, go through the next stairs, run north, run through the next stairs, then run through the big doors, and then run north, and on the east is where the rune dragons are. And then you're going to run northeast, and once you get to the other strange machine, use the DIGSITE pendant on it, and then you will unlock the LITHKREN teleport, which teleports you right here. After each trip, you will teleport to your player-owned house if you have an ornate pool, and restore your stats, and then bank and re-gear and return to the rune dragon. If you do not have an ornate pool in your player-owned house, then you can use a dueling ring instead and teleport to Clan Wars and restore your stats and bank there. Now I will show you an example trip and show you what a typical inventory looks like. Okay, we are now geared up. We're going to use our DIGSITE pendant and teleport to LITHKREN because we now have it unlocked. Then you spawn here in LITHKREN from the Dragon Slayer 2 quest. We're going to run north and then climb down these stairs. Run north again, enter the big door. The same way you go to get the teleport is the same way where the rune dragons are. Then you're going to want to go ahead and make sure your quick prayers are set up. Okay, magic and piety. Perfect. Go ahead and drink your potions. Put on your quick prayers, enter in, turn on your SPEC if you have a SPEC weapon, and then attack the dragons. Hopefully we get a good SPEC. Not a great SPEC, but that's okay. And then now you just attack them. So I'm waiting to see if they get an electric attack. I'll kind of sit here and wait. And he's kind of hitting me pretty hard, which is kind of not normal. Normally they don't hit this hard, but I'm waiting for the electric attack so then I can kind of move and show you guys what it looks like. But basically you just kind of camp here. You'll see a lot of people here. Sometimes you have to hop worlds. Okay, there's the electric attack. So you just run about 5 squares away, and then it goes away. Okay, so that's what I wanted to show you guys. There's the range special attack. It hit me a 16 and healed himself 16. But like I said, you will have to hop worlds sometimes because sometimes they will be full. But for the most part, it shouldn't be a big deal. I will be back when we get a full inventory and show you what the typical loot looks like. There is our last kill on this trip. We got a full inventory, and we still have some food left over, but we are out of our prayer potions. Now, when you're done, you either teleport to Clan Wars or your house. I teleport to my house, use my ornate rejuvenation pool, and I'll use my jewelry box to teleport to Castle Wars. And then that is where I'll rebank normally. I'll normally just bank right there, get my new gear, and then I'll restart the process. But let's see how much a typical inventory is. The runite bars and the dragon bones alone. So if you were to only pick these up, which obviously you're not going to because they drop other good drops. But if you're only doing this, you're going to make 120k at least if you get a full inventory every time. Then you put in the other items, and you'll make 202k. And then another big thing, if you complete Monkey Madness 2, then you get these Dragon Javelin Head drops, another Javelin Head drops, and they add up and make a lot more money. So I recommend doing the Monkey Madness 2 quest. And there's 274k in one inventory. Rune dragons make absolute bank loot, and I definitely recommend trying them out if you haven't. I would also recommend making a Rune Dragon alt account if you have some time on your hands, or have an alt account that you want to upgrade. Rune Dragon alts make easy money and are pretty AFKable as well. I am making a Rune Dragon alt right now, and if you want to see how that is going, check out the link in the description. I hope this guide helps you out, and if it did, please leave a like and also subscribe to the channel because only around 10% of you guys watching this video are subscribed to my channel, and we are getting closer and closer to 5k subs. If you guys have any suggestions for another Ultimate Noobs guide, let me know in the comments and I will make that happen. If you want to talk or PVM in game, join my clan chat Hartblitz. We're looking for some active members who want to hang out and do some PVM trips together. If you're interested in that, also join the Discord in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for my next video.